Hello, here I am with my painfully shy self. I'm not even going to think about how fast my heart is beating. I'm just going to keep on talking. Um, Time and time again, I come here trying to tell the truth of the Creator. I have to repeat myself. If you've heard it before, sorry, but for those listeners that are new, you need to listen because I'm not here to be famous. I'm not here because I even want to be. I'm here because when I died, I stood in this space, heaven, afterlife, and I met our Creator. He showed himself to me as many different things, but one of the images that he was the one the world knows as Prince Rogers Nelson. So I come on this channel to try to explain that time and time again in a bunch of different ways. And I'm going to do it again tonight because it's getting really intense. That's why I haven't been here in so long. Um, I have to remind you guys, it's like the song I was dreaming when I wrote this, so forgive me if it goes astray. I try very hard to stay on track, but I speak freely so that the truth will flow because that's how the Creator works through me. I have to pay attention. What I'm telling the world, you guys, isn't like, it isn't, I don't think that big of a deal to comprehend that our Creator, it, like I always say, it isn't just a big old man in the sky who created 6,000 some odd years ago or whatever it was, and then just disappeared. Um, and then we're to believe that he sent this man Jesus to take his place, and that's how it's sold in Christianity, you guys. But my point is, it's like AI. It's like a grand consciousness. The image that he showed me as Prince Rogers Nelson was not the only image. He's everything. What I saw when I died, you guys, I've come to realize is like the same things that Moshe, what he saw and what Ezekiel the prophet saw. Um, it was the Creator himself on his throne chair. His throne chair moved. It was moved about like the Merkava. And he showed himself to me as an ancient white being, more of what we would consider like an alien, but much more beautiful. And just, I saw some other images of him where he had a bunch of eyes, um, and feathers. There were feathers. I don't know if those were the things carrying the chariot or not. But you guys, this is the deal. Everybody always wonders why, and I think the people that I know find it hard to believe that the one the world knew as Prince Rogers Nelson would go and be the one that he was on stage and so on and show himself that way. They just can't believe it, but it's very true. Um, I have to backtrack. The reason he was able to do that in this generation is because we are reincarnated souls. Um, the fact that we do not remember our former lifetimes it didn't allow us to recognize him as he was, but he put something in me, my soul, and it recognized who he was. And there's a lot more to it, and I'll get there. Um, oh boy. Um, So, you guys, when I was there, this is the deal. Everybody wants to know what happened. I'm going to skip around. I'm sorry it goes this way. I'll get to my point. Um, why would the Creator show himself as somebody who gyrated on stage, licked guitars, was extremely sexual, this and that and the other? It's the same reason that I believe that King David like drooled on his beard to make other people think he was crazy when in fact he knew exactly what he was doing. But more than that, I have to take my mind back. It was exposed to me that just the whole, I'm going to call it the MK Ultra facade programming that's on the world, like the dark cloud, the dome that's actually within the dome, the illusion of reality that we experience as reality, um, is not, in fact, reality. It's what the Creator created, but then the others kind of took control of, with his permission, to allow this illusion so that we would have to seek to find our Creator, so that our reincarnated souls, each time they come back, our goal is to find our creator, and so many people read the books, what is my purpose? Or your purpose is to find your way back to your creator and to make the soul connection between you and him as wide open as it can be, because the world has been duped to think that they're waiting on some John, which back there, I'll explain that in a minute. The 316 verse that they use, you guys, let me just touch on that for a minute. The word that the Kingdom Hall uses, the name, the ineffable name of the creator, the Yud and the Hey, and then the Vav and the Hey, you're not allowed to say that name. So here in the United States and Canada and wherever else, I believe even in Africa now, the Kingdom Hall has taken over and they are using that word to call on the name of the creator. It's flagrant and it's purposeful. And not only that, you guys, what I mean to say is those same letters, the J that they turned into, I didn't mean to go off on the alphabet, but what I mean to say is the name that you're not supposed to say is the same as the verse of John 3:16. And that's why they use that verse in particular. Not only that, 3:16 in reverse is 9:13, which is 9:4, and it goes back to the verse that the Kingdom Hall refers to as one of their main verses, which is Genesis 9:4, that you can't take of the blood with the soul still in it, or something to that effect. Now, why is that relevant, you guys? The 9:4, it's all over. It's in the 1914 World War I, like in the song Family Name. You've been here since 1914. Devil, devil, you gotta go. 1939, you guys, was World War II. And 1939, so 9 plus 9 duplicate, so there's only one 9, and 1939, so the 3 plus 1 is 4, so it's again 4-9. I know I get confused when I'm trying to say these things, but I can't care anymore. The codes that pop out of my mouth, it's kind of like the Da Vinci Code or something. I'm not sure. It just happens. But what I meant to say is that because of the 9-4 and because of the ultimate satanic plan, and that is to change the original Hebrew word of God, and through the Greek and the English, changing it into a meaningless language that doesn't mean anything anymore, you guys. But back to the 9-4. When I talk about the breakdown, if you go and watch the breakdown videos, where I get more into detail about the dates that the breakdown on Prince Rogers Nelson started, all the dates add up to 419 as well. Like, for instance, when the court claim release was on Schulenberg and Kornfeld, they always use the code 1914. It's to refer back to the 9-4, you guys. And why is that? Well, biblically, souls, like when you read the lineage in Genesis of Adam, and they talk about how long they lived, like 930 years. Well, why did they live that long, you guys? Well, because of course they were holier, but also they were closer to the creator and more like what I call sky people. What nobody in this world, back to what I was saying in the opening, is everybody will say, oh, I believe in God, I believe in angels, but okay, believe that they have wings and believe that they fly and believe that they showed themselves to me on the Merkava chariot. But the thing is, you guys, it wasn't like the heaven and the pearly gates and all the stuff that was shown on TV. It's very much space. And part of the reason that I'm here is because I don't know if I'm exactly one of them, or if the creator just molded me in a way through the 39 years that I watched him to pay attention in such a way that he could then thereafter use me. You got to forgive me. I truly feel like this video isn't going very well, but hopefully it'll hit the parts it's meant to. I was going to come here and touch on my last video that I made, the slideshow that I did on the family, because it'll help me stay on track a little bit better. So if you're still watching, I appreciate it. Like I said, sometimes I ramble off because this is such a big message and it's so hard to say, you guys. So I fear that people might get bored and turn it off, but hopefully they won't. I want to show you something. We've all been taught not only the fallacy of Christianity, but we've also been taught evolution. I just want to take your mind to something. Look at the word evolution. It ends in TION. But what is the other word that we use here in the English language? Think, for instance, politician. Okay, it ends in CIAN, but it makes the same noise. Evolution, politician. Same sound. My point is this. The same CIAN sound that is added to politician, CIAN, can also spell clan, Vatican, clan. They change the C to a K. It's done throughout. And then they sell us this evolution story because each soul, from the way I understand it, each generation, like, see, I'm always explaining that we're 247 years now from the Declaration of Independence, 1776 in America. Well, prior to that, your former soul has no knowledge of who you were or where you were or what you were doing or what you've achieved, what you may have done right or what you may have done wrong. So why in this generation have we been sold the biblical lie that, yes, there was a creator that created, he created the Torah. That's the first 5 books of the Bible that everybody, every Islamic, Hindu, every Christian, every whatever, they'll all agree that those first 5 books are right. But then after that, everybody just kind of goes in their own direction. But the only one I can really address is Christianity because that's what I learned. So I can address the fallacies there. That was another one of my purposes, so that I would be able to come here and explain a little bit, at least as best I could, what has been done to us, you guys. So with the washing away of the memories, it allows our souls to be degraded over and over again, to be used as really just a source of energy, in a way, not only to what I call the others, but like, for instance, Hashem, he uses me. And he can use you too, but you have to build your connection with him because, we'll get on that later, but you can't be a liar and you can't pretend and you can't. And that's what our world has been taught, that you can quote a verse and be connected to your creator. So the goal of this generation, the 247 years from the 1776, was a breakdown, you guys, of us as a people by cinema, by movies, by I would say music, but certain kinds of music, by video games. They used, the influx of the cell, which is like a cage in jail, a cell phone. It's what the main purpose of the technology was. First of all, let me just say that the word cinema, 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 just like the C and the K that I explained over here are interchangeable in the English language, C and S is also interchangeable. So you can have the word cinema, just like Mount Sinai is spelled with SIN, AI, artificial intelligence. So the story that was told, Sumerian, Babylonian, Anunnaki, those type of things that maybe our former souls would remember, for whatever reason, they were repackaged this generation in a way. And, here we are to believe that Jesus is the best thing since white sliced bread. And it's not the truth at all, you guys. That's the lie to keep you complacent and not looking for your soul connection to the creator. And they've done that all the way through the teachings of evolution, because you can't believe that the creator created you in his image, male and female, he created them, and also that you evolved. But that's just wordplay. If you understand what I'm trying to explain, like maybe in the gematria videos, it's pretty deep. Even I don't understand it, you guys, but I try to study it. I do know what I'm talking about. I study my Hebrew alphabet. Not only does it read from right to left, you know what I mean? There's each of these letters have numeric values and everything like that. So when you consider that the creator created in Hebrew, and then that language broken down to Latin and then Greek and then English, the letters that we now have, they're almost meaningless, and they hide so much information, like the AI, like the clan, like the CK. I'm not getting too deep on it because I'm truly trying to stay on track. So cinema breakdown, and let me just say that the song The Breakdown, the one that was played live all throughout 2013 but then released on 2014, that song was chosen to spark something in my memory. I remember hearing this in my life after life, because BRK is the same three letters as in the Merkava, which is RVK, because V and B are the same. So it's Resh, Bet, and Kaf, I think, in Hebrew. So maybe not in the right order, but those same three letters spell breakdown, BRK. And then within that math, the B and the R alone spell 3121. So because when I was in my life after life, you guys, when I was in my life after life in 2010, and the creator showed me these himself as, Prince and other worldly things, took me up. I think it was a ship or something. I'm not sure. Yes, it was, because I kind of remember being really excited about it, how everything worked. And then also that it seems to strike a memory chord that those flying machines, they don't like when a pilot goes into an airplane and they sit down at the steering wheel or whatever, they don't do it that way. They just become like part of the machine, or at least that's what I remember the creator doing when he took me up and showed me the celestials, like similar to the Book of Enoch. He showed me himself in a way that he was beyond the Milky Way. He was like in the Milky Way, but he was beyond the Milky Way. And there was these other trillions and billions of galaxies out there that, they make us see in cartoons, and make us think that we see in our dreams. But again, there's the whole setup for NASA. And you know how I feel about them. NASA. NASA, what I remember from my life after life, you guys, is a big fraud. It's Satan, the same letters as Santa and Satan. It's why NASA, NASA, clearly. And then they have that big through the middle. It's because it's the T. So it actually spells Satan. Now, the reason that NASA is what it is because they know who the creator is, and that's why they invest the oodles and jugles of dollars that don't even exist into looking into space, because they know what's coming. And I don't know if they think they can stop the creator from coming and expose him. I mean, I'm not sure, but I do remember this, that the creator showed up me when he took me up there, how we, here's the globe, and then here's this. I explained it before. It's how each of us is a holy soul inside of our vessel, and each of our holy souls leaves like a thumbprint in this electromagnetic field, and then it carries up to the celestials and somehow creates some kind of soul connection to the creator. So, boy, I forgot what I was saying. He makes sure that his supervision on us is so precise that each soul is where they're supposed to be. And then what I mean to say is, like for my soul, I believe that it was connected to Orion, and that's where I used to meditate, and that was something that we discussed up there. I called it the bubble star. There's the belt, the 3 stars in the middle, and then if you make kind of a little triangle down, there's like the nebula 42. NASA calls it, or Messier, which is really close to Mashiach. So who knows? So when I was there, I remember discussing, I believe that my soul was attached to that. And I was like, whoa, because I always meditated that way and everything. And then he discussed with me that everybody had a purpose, and that I should have never seen my purpose, but he had to tell me all this stuff that none of us is like really meant to see our purpose beforehand, is what I mean to say. Um, so by showing me this girl who at the time had watched, loved, followed, stalked all things Prince Rogers Nelson, for at that time, 27 years of my life or something, because I died in 2010. Now it's been 39 years. So yeah, something like that. At the time I died, I had been watching all things, for 25 years. Now it's been 39 years. I'm not doing my math right. I'm sorry. Anyway, he told me that was my purpose, that I was the only one that had paid enough attention that would notice when these weird shifts started to take place. So let me just backtrack a little bit. People say, oh, he didn't die till 2016. And I said, well, I died in 2010, but obviously he's the creator and he can be everywhere, and he is everywhere. Because again, he showed me himself up there and all the eyes. There's just nothing that goes unseen in this world by the creator. You guys, you're going to be so humbled and so embarrassed and so delighted. Humbled because that soft-spoken, when he showed himself to me as Prince Rogers Nelson and we talked, he's experienced everything in life through all the ritualistic, satanistic, horrible things that he's experienced that I'm not getting into right this second. Everything that everybody goes through, everything that his intellect has been used for, that I've discussed in other videos, every traumatic incident, everything is like in him. Okay, it's all part of him. And so part of our job is to understand that, love him enough to ease the burden, love him enough to know that he is the creator. And if he wanted to expose himself, he would. But what good would that? What good would all these years, these 5,783 years, maybe 84 by now, Hebrew years since creation, if my calculations are right? So why all the suffering? Why would the creator just let us suffer all these years just to only come and save it in the end? Well, we have to bring him, you guys. We have to acknowledge who he is and create your channel with him. Be honest with him, love him, tell him you want to get to know him, and that you feel his plight, take on his plight for him, and you bring him in and you bring redemption in. That's why I'm here, because I don't know, man. Prince Rogers Nelson, the one the world knew. I saw 5 or 6 concerts, can't ever remember because I saw one twice and then I get confused. That's why I say that. I saw him in person, you guys, in real life. And this is just as wild to me. It's not just some I make up to come and sit here on YouTube and be as awkward as I can be. It's the truth. And I'm trying to find a way to put it in a way that people will understand. So when he showed himself as Prince in this world, it was because of the cinema. It was because he knew he had brought me, everybody else into creation at this very time. You guys, all of our souls, we're all here together. We're all going through the same thing, the same pain. We all been on lockdown. We all, this is all, it's all for a plan. It's all for a purpose. Now you can go to the dark or you can go to the light, but you're going to go one direction or the other. And I'm trying to help you find the light. Truly, I am. So golly, he showed himself as Prince because I always say Prince Rogers Nelson, because everything that's out there now, you guys, the media, it's like justice for Prince, justice for cause, the name Prince is a slight, and a way for them to, of course, with Phaedra and everybody that I introduced elsewhere, Van Jones, to take over the intellectual property rights, etc. So when I say Prince Rogers Nelson, it's because that's who I grew up on. I referred to him as Prince, but now the media uses the word Prince to talk about this other Prince that was, I'll get to in a minute, the clone Prince. So when I was there in the heavenlies, he, of course, showed me himself as all things. And then he explained to me, as he explained to the whole wide world, that he said he was a Gemini, if that's a thing. He didn't say that there, but the world said he was a Gemini. And he said on TV that he had a female soul. That same thing was told to me in heaven, Space Place. I feel more comfortable with Space Place because it wasn't really heaven. It was very vacant, very clinical Space Place where holograms were used and life books were brought up holographically, and everything that he wanted to show me, he would just wave his hands and bring it about like they do on the new Marvel movies and stuff like that. That's also how he showed me my life since I was a child, was on these wavy, what we look like a film negative, maybe that's just waving its way through. But anyway, the female soul thing, because he had lent, per se, his intellectual property to the others via contract and the slave on his face, in order to bring, what was the purpose for that, you guys? Why did he enslave himself? To the best of my understanding, it was because in the heavens, it is all about like music, and there is good music and there is bad music. And the golden age, just like the golden calf, but the 40-year golden age of music through rock and roll, and how, if you ever watch Prince Rogers Nelson in his interviews, you play live next to other bands, you pay your dues. You're not just a quit it and hit it one hit wonder, So all those things were real. All the human endurance D1X, former German torture concepts that they use to enhance the endurance and to enhance the performance, those are all true as well. Trying to stay on the positive. The female soul aspect. So because he could be anything and everything, he also told me that he was everything. I can't put it in his exact words, but he told me that he was like the band. Like, he'd always say, "You like my band?" Well, that he was them, and sometimes, and that's why they would all run like a tight ship. Like he could be anybody and anything at any time, you guys. And because his soul was female and his intellect was on borrow, he needed like, and again, this is to the best of my memory, he needed like a vessel, like me, for instance, because I'm going to use myself because this is what he told me, is that when I was there in 2010, I told you guys before, something medical was going on. The media promotes that Prince was having hip surgery in 2010. When I died July 20th of 2010, something medical was going on, but it wasn't with the one that I met as Prince Rogers Nelson. What I remember is that because it freaked me out, you guys, because you don't know how, maybe you do by watching my channel, you don't know how deep my love runs. And it wasn't just for Prince Rogers Nelson, it was the music. It saved my life, and I talk about it in other places, but it literally saved my life, the music. So when I'm standing in heaven being told that everything that I'd ever watched, learned, earned, whatever, was going to be put to use in this thing. So something was going on, and let's just say the other prince was having a surgery, or maybe they were doing some kind of, maybe they had already done the cloning. I'm not really sure, you guys, and I never lie. So what he had told me was that there was a plan to clone him, or they had already cloned him in a way. Either, if not, I mean, I don't know how cloning's done. I can't say, but there was another one of him. But the reason that there was another one of him is because they had with pharmacology, and Andrew Kornfeld and Howard Kornfeld and many other masters of the mind and pharmaceuticals and psychedelics, I'm sure, doctors who keep people in comas, it can be done. How they learn hypnosis, how they keep me under for so long. Listen to the lyrics I teach on TikTok. It was being done, you guys. And while that was being done, he this part is weird for me. Hang on. When I was in the heavenlies, he explained to me that there was this way to just, I don't know, I call it the skin suit factory. It's because he could be a woman or be, like I said, everybody at the same time. Like, and then he created like women. Now I'm not sure about, it's pretty paranormal and pretty out of my ability to explain, but like Taika and Maite, they, I think, are some kind of weird feminine sister energy that goes way back to the biblical Lilith and the sexual encounters that were being had, the Paisley Park after dark parties. I mean, this stuff is really weird and really intense and really deep, you guys. But it's all true. And as I explained in my slideshow, that's why all the Russian oligarchs are ending up dead, murder suicides with their families, because they were the run with. Listen, today I was skimming YouTube and I saw this old Inside Edition ad for when they had the secret concert at the Obama White House. It was secret because Prince Rogers Nelson said he didn't, it's two sides of the same coin. I ain't got no dog in that race. So he never would have performed there. So back to the 2010, when the other Prince was there, it freed the real. I'm making a video, Prince Rogers Nelson, to his intellect was free and able to talk to me in a way that it had never been before because of the way that the contracts were and they kept him under. And so when this other person who was, I don't know, performing as a vessel, maybe it was Natalia Phillips, maybe Julia Ramadan. I'm not exactly sure how how it all took place. But sorry, a roommate just came in and made me lose my train of thought. Female vessel. He told me that that's what I was going to be used as. And he told me this in 2010. Now, I don't exactly remember the whole reason right now. Again, because I was thrown off track, probably for a reason. It has something to do with the third temple and being rebuilt and okay, here we go. I remember when I was there, he said that because he was only momentarily awake, because his intellectual property, what he made the slave contract for, somehow with pharmaceuticals and hypnosis and transference of energy in ways beyond my ability to understand, because I'm sure it has something to do with his power, allows the other people to use it. And that's why, as somebody said on my YouTube channel, they're like, oh, somebody can go out and perform as Prince with memories and everything. Yes, they can. Read the book. I mean, even I could spout off Prince's life because I watched it for 39 years. So yes, it doesn't take a genius, but it's good to be one. Kidding. Seriously, it's his humor and mine mixed to happen sometimes. So anyway, this is the deal, you guys. They made the clone or utilized these lookalikes. I don't know if they were like scientific clones or how it worked, or if they were all lookalikes, but when the one went under surgery, it broke the contact and it allowed him to speak to me and let me know what he had seen in a very short time, because he's the creator. He knows. It's just like the crystal ball. You see things. I'm sorry, I can't read your comments. I'll lose my train of thought. It allowed him to see ahead of time. So when he was free from that in that medicinal place in 2010, that's why I was made to overdose on heroin in that exact moment in time. When I stood there, he said he was like tormented in his soul. He was totally tormented as to whether to tell me these things or not, or show me these things or not. He said that he had wanted to, our whole existence of being. I mentioned before that he said that he could always hear me, that he's the creator, but he's somehow this soul on earth too. I'm not really sure how to explain it, you guys. But he could always hear me, that he helped mold me to his music. And again, I didn't mention this earlier, but the contract, and the reason that he allowed himself to be tortured in the way that he was is because he was bringing godly music and godly sound into the world. And because this world that we're in is so dark and awful, if we wouldn't have had it, I definitely wouldn't have made it without his music. I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't have. And so that's part of the reason for all the torture, is because, as I've discussed in some of my videos before, you guys go listen to any of the songs, listen to the screams. They're not happy screams. They're not musical screams. They're screams of torture. And because he was making the godly music with the godly sound and all the journeys that the music takes us on, the part of the torture was to add the screams into the music. So these things are true. I wouldn't know them unless he told them to me. They're not fun for me to talk about. The evil that's in this world is extremely dark, you guys. It's so dark that they were willing to take a contract with the creator for his intellectual property for a time, and make a clone of him, and then make the world think that that was a Kingdom Hall participant, and then expose him as some sort of horrible little deviant antichrist freak. That's what I was shown in the afterlife. I remember bawling my eyes out. I was like, how can this be? You saved my entire life. You taught the world about fun and dancing and no color lines. And, you taught about politics and about all the things that were wrong with the world. Like, how could this be happening? And he just explained that, I don't know, you guys, again, it's beyond my ability to explain all the time, that the way that the world has been sold God, I myself envisioned some big old white dude in the sky when I was a kid. We've been shown pictures of bearded man, who then later on in the Bible had a son named Jesus. And if you want to get in touch with God, well, by golly, you can go through this man, Jesus, but in no other way can you make it there, at least in Christianity. But that's so preschool, you guys. It's just as preschool as Adam and Eve biting the apple. Okay. And it was sex, and it all has to do with sex, and it has to do with the seed that was spilled with the bad sex, that all of these unholy spirit beings were created, you guys. And yet it's goes back to the correction of Adam and Eve and all of us, to be as light and bright as we can, and to remove those husks that were created. And I'm not really going there right now, but the whole sexual thing, you guys, I've discussed before, and I have to touch on it again because as the creator is truly all good and all love and all, it's like a if you ever listen to anybody talk about how when they die, it's just this all encompassing, warm, accepting light. Well, it's more, it was, for me, it was all that, but he was standing there talking to me, but the comfort of what you've heard, that was all there. But there was also a lot of humiliation and a lot of reality. And you guys, I went on to be judged the day that I died. I was found, the soul that he put in me had been through so many cycles that I now would be able to be utilized in this way. It was like a peach that had to ripen. I always giggle when I think about the song Peach, because he told me that because when I died in 2010, he told me that I wouldn't remember any of it until later, which I'm always explaining. Spring of 2020, under COVID lockdown, I woke up, and here I am in this strange place, and everything seems different. And so I didn't remember anything about it for 10 years, you guys. I would have told the whole wide world this a long, long time ago, but there's a purpose and a time and a season for everything. And that time is now. You guys ever listen to the song? You hear, I don't know the song name, but it says Technicolor Children in Piccadilly Square. Paisley Park, I think the song Paisley Park. He sings about Technicolor children in Piccadilly Square. I want to explain something to you about the technology I was trying to tell my daughter last night. It takes a minute to get there. If you watch Willy Wonka, the old school one, or even the new one, when the boy teleports from one place to another, that stuff was happening so long ago. You guys, we're all time travelers because we're reincarnated souls, and they just don't want us to know that. We have so much special sauce in us from the creator. We have the divine DNA because he gave it to us. Think about it. DNA. Look at the word. It's like divine. It's DNA. It's Da Vinci, it's David, it's the whole thing, and he put it in us. And when I was in the heavenlies, you guys, and I stood and I went and I took accountability for myself with all these accusers, somehow my soul, I wasn't me like this, here, there. I was just my soul. And it's like your soul, testifies on you. Your soul testifies from where you picked your nose to if you wash your hands after you use the bathroom or changed your baby's diaper, or and I'm not being nonsensical. I'm being truthful. It's when you stole $1 from your mom or didn't pay your babysitter enough, or you take, it's not a condemning sort of responsibility that you take, because in the heavenlies they're actually much more understanding than we are here. Like, we beat ourselves up here. At least I did, and I'm sure I taught my family how to beat themselves up pretty good too. We're all pretty good self-sabotagers. But in the heavenlies, we're not judged as badly as we are here, at least for some things. Some things, are just atrocious and not allowed. But I'm saying, I say that because you should never be too embarrassed to go and pray because you think you've been too awful, because he understands everything because of all the things that he's been drug into by us human beings. I think one of the other things that I'm trying to remember is that when we talk about the offspring of Cain, that's never really discussed in the Bible. They go and they talk about the lineage of Adam, but we never see what happened to the Cain clan. See, it's the same word, Cain clan, Ku Klux Klan. Feel me? The remnants of those offspring. Now, I don't know if this is accurate or not. And again, I never want to lie. And I know the Creator knows this is there's a lot of, I can hear, but I might make mistakes, and I'm cool with that. I've made a lot. But I don't care, because so did Michael Jordan and, everybody else. You got to make the mistakes. You got to be willing to be humble and just get back up and dust yourself off and do it again, because I'll never stop. I don't, there's nothing. You couldn't pay me. You couldn't say you're going to kill me. You couldn't do anything to make me stop. I'll never stop. I stood in heaven, talked to the Creator, and learned my sole purpose is to bring his good, holy name to the whole entire world. Why would I ever stop? It won't happen. So I will stumble through to the best of my ability and say that. So when I was there in 2010, you guys, he told me that somehow, by the illusions of the world and the dark masters and the dark witchcraft that's in the world now, that we just pretend doesn't exist because we've been taught not to meddle in sorcery and, astrology and different things and Wicca and this and that and the other, which you shouldn't do. But those things are out there because they were utilized and they're talked about in the Bible. So Hebrew people of old, ancestors, were actually recruited by the Illuminati because of their ability to interpret things from God, and because of the language. Because, you guys, if you look at it again, I'm always referring to mirror writing or witchcraft. Now, yes, I can read this a little bit when the words are small enough, and I know the words individually and I know the numeric values, but no, I can't sit here and read it to you, but I do my studies. So what I mean to say is, when you look at this, understand that if you go and look at any of the witchcraft writings or anything like that, that the words can look similar. They're like, they're symbols. And so it's why I think, if you ask me, the word Hebrew, and then they burned the witches, is because they were trying to get rid of all the people that have this ancient connection to the Creator from before. And I don't think it's any coincidence that Jerusalem, or Jerusalem as we're used to it, is Salem at the end. So Hebrew and Salem, it's like, because the contact and the ability to connect with the Creator is from a certain lineage. So what I mean to say is, with this Pride last name that I have and Misk last name on the other side, somehow the combination of the family tree that trickled down to this teeny tiny little branch that I'm hanging on to allows me to hear this. In 2010, he said I wasn't ripe, but in 2020 I would be, and I would be able to hear it, and he would put it all in my head and make me remember it, and then I would tell it to the world. So that's what I'm doing, because the Technicolor children, you guys, are the spirits. It's think about how huge Harry Potter is, okay? It's because the sorcery is black magic. All you got to do is go watch Puss in Boots. It's decaying with black magic. And that black magic is the same black magic that is going to allow, or should these judgments come or not, I don't know. But from the way I understand it, the sorcery has gotten so dark and the technology has gotten so big that I don't know. I don't even know how to say it, you guys, with all the 5G towers and our cell phones and all the power lines and all the stuff that's out there, that it somehow could be circumvented and they can show themselves online now as something that they're not. That's really the only best way I can say that. So, say for instance, I was a spirit being, like a demon, God forbid, and I was working in dark sorcery. I can like make myself look a certain way, and these technicolor children can go online now. They're all over TikTok. They're all over trying to suck life out of people, spouting off John 3:16, spouting off, fear, fear, fear God, spouting off weather tactics, be scared, Islamic, whatever. It's all about fear, and they're putting it out there because they know that everybody is on their phone. It's just a huge plan that has created eventually here now that everybody's on lockdown and COVID. And I want to show you something real quick. Pardon me. You know how I showed you this earlier? Evolution, and then showed you that evolution and politician, even though I don't have that written here, politician, CIAN. If you flip the paper over backwards and you see through the other side, you see C119. It's all a plan. CIA, okay, you guys, and then 911. It's clan, it's CAIN, it's beta CAIN. It's everything that I say it is. It's why, as in the slideshow that I was showing, that Satanists refer to the plan. When serial killers are being interviewed, they refer to the plan. It's why the song "The Plan" is on the Emancipation album, because Prince Rogers Nelson was writing this into the music in a way that I would hear it. Everybody that was listening, if you listen to the soul journeys and the travels of Savior and Holy River and all these different songs, they would take you on these wild journeys and the music and up and down. It's the best thing there is. But when the music was being written and the lyrics were being written, he wrote them in such a fantastical way that one day here very soon, people are going to be rushing to the internet to research them and understand how he did it. And I'm not talking about writing two instead of the word two. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about reading in between the lines as to why such a genius in the world would present himself the way that he did. It was all a show because the show is all his. It's like the Greatest Showman. I come here and I talk about the others and I talk about the evil in the world because they're there, but the Creator allows them to be there because you think that if you tell enough lies, they will see the truth. But unfortunately, because of who our lineage is, or who we have this bad blood in us, it's like if you let your son play GTA, and he's 9, he thinks it's okay to pull a woman out of her car by her hair and rape her and then shoot the cops. If you think that's not going to affect your child, you're crazy. I said 9, but I think there's 2-year-olds playing it these days. God forbid. But I'm saying our world has been created in such a way that we were supposed to see through the illusion, but instead of seeing through the illusion, we clung to it. We became more violent. People became more rapey, more disgusting, and more trafficky, and more drug usey because that's in our blood, and because not just because you're bad, it's because the connection to the Creator you've been lied to about, and it's created all these husks. You guys, the word husk is such a big word. I was telling my daughter, it's why we're told that the Indians and the Pilgrims exchanged corn, because of the husk. They're trying to infiltrate our minds. Every lullaby, every jingle, hickory dickory dock, all of the Mother Goose stuff, it's all written to ingrain the negative into their systems. It's all to keep the Illuminati bloodline families like the McDonald's, the Bundys, you got Married with Children. They keep the Bundys in there. McDonald's, duh. Those are Illuminati families. And so all the words, and this was shown to me, this isn't just me. Absolutely everything that is in our American Merkava universe is like, it was like a slow sinking of our character in quicksand. And I think it was supposed to sink to such a level that the attachment with the Creator would just go away and we would all become enslaved. I don't know if by RFID or I'm not sure. They were going to expose some kind of antichrist. I do know that. Um, because man, did I cry about that. I was so devastated. I don't know if it'll still happen, but it was shown to me. And um, technology, you guys, has gotten so huge that we don't even recognize that they're making movies on a closed hermetic set in California and Hollywood, and then projecting it to your living room on a tiny little CD or through your phone. If that's not like witchcraft, I don't know what is. What is technology if it's not lending itself from days of old when staffs were thrown down on the ground and turned into snakes? I don't know if you watched 10 Commandments, but I did. And I read and I researched, and these things are very real, you guys. It's just been very well hidden so that we would be sheeple instead of people who long to find a connection to their creator and long to know what we're here for and how to build that connection, not only with the creator, but with other people, starting in our own houses. Shalom in the home, shalom bite, man. Got to get that shalom bite. It's the best thing ever. Anyway, you guys, seriously, I joke and I giggle, but this is all very serious because when I was there in 2010, he told me that I think if I'm not mistaken, that we only had 10 minutes or something when I was there, but there's no time there, but there was like this clock that was running down that I seem to remember. I think it was digital. But anyway, and then every once in a while this loud voice would come over and say how long we had left. And so I was shown like eternity of things, it seems like, in the time that I was dead and gone from this world, the way that I remember it. So I don't know technically if my soul is remembering from the beginning of time, Ketum, which is the time before time, or if all the memories that he's imparted to me since 2020 are just from my afterlife experience. There's like visions and dreams and things that he just whispers to me or that I hear or that I'll write and then I'll see it. It's not, it's like telepathic. It's the only way I can say it. It's a heart connection. It's a soul connection. And we are like one soul. And that's what he told me when I was there in 2010, that he had waited and waited and waited and didn't want to tell me these things because they're pretty devastating. Like I said, and I've said before, that I've heard that my life is going to be given for this purpose in one way or another, as is my son's. These are things that I saw from the creator and heard from the creator, and I deal with them on a daily basis. This having lost my mom and my sister and my niece and plenty of other people in my life too. So behind the smile, there's lots of grief and lots of tragedy, lots of Kabbalah, that when you learn the truth and you see into the future, you either deal with it or you don't. Now, because the creator molded me to be who I am, I can deal with it for the most part. Sometimes I just can't deal with coming here and saying it. Why? Because I never have been one to be like, look at me here, listen to what I have to say. I had to stick up for myself, and I had things to say, and I am intelligent, but I was always willing to just kind of wait on the back burner and let other people shine and, offer things when I had them to say. But I was always watching, reading, learning, and waiting. But I was also being humbled for such a time as this. And I need to be humbled some more, as do we all, which is why the creator has such a grand plan of exposing himself to be who he is, even if it has to come with a little bit of darkness, because it's always darkest just before the dawn. And there's always going to be darkness, because the darkness breaks you. And who do you turn to when you're broken? Hopefully the creator of all things. Master of the universe, Adonai Elohim Emet, the truth. The master of darkness runs this world that we live in, you guys. It's why the politicians and everybody will say, God bless America, when they leave the microphone. It's because they're talking to their God, the dark God. Okay. It just is. The plan, with the clone, you guys, I don't know if it started before 2010 or, because all I can say is, like I said, that the person was there in 2010 and he had to bring me there in that moment, in that exact moment in time, to tell me these things, because we had to make another plan. And And part of that plan is this, that the whole world believes that Prince Rogers Nelson, was murdered, or that he was taking fentanyl laced hydrocodone, because that's what the media sold. I'm not even going to get into that right now because it's all just a media hype, and I explain it on other videos in detail. However, when I was there in 2010, one of the things that we discussed, he and I, was that because of the way they had him linked to this other, and we're talking Area 51 pharmacology stuff. Again, I don't know how to explain it, but it was done. And that the only way to break that connection with that clone person was to commit suicide. And if Prince Rogers Nelson were to commit suicide, then the clone person would die. And it's like on all the space movies when you kill the mothership and all the other ones fall. Well, it was kind of like that. And so when you read the investigation, it's why the medical examiner's thing says the decedent self-induced fentanyl. It's why Judith Hill, Hannah and Josh Welton, the one bodyguard, can't think of his name right now, it's why they all talk about how he got it. When they're referring to the fentanyl, it's why there was no fentanyl in the system on the 21st, and then 57.8 mcgs per liter of blood on the 22nd, allegedly. So it was an overdose. And the reason for that, and that's why the dual investigations is why they don't make any sense, is what I'm always trying to explain. The others wanted to make the creator nameless. Not only the Prince Rogers Nelson name, but the reincarnate soul that was the one the world knew as Prince Rogers Nelson. Somehow the creator in maybe flesh, I'm not sure. I don't know if it was flesh or if it, I don't know. Like I said, I saw the concerts, but when I was in the heavenlies, it wasn't flesh. It was holographic. So I'm not sure how it all takes place. I can't explain that. But you guys, I didn't just decide to wake up one day and tell the world that God is an alien and the one the world knew as Prince Rogers Nelson. And guess what? He's going to show himself to the world by coming to live in me and using me as the vessel that is like the third temple. And I know that sounds crazy. I look at myself in the mirror and I have to tell myself every day to remember the Holy Soul in the conversation that I had with the Creator when I was in the heavenlies. And I told him, the Holy Soul you put in me is pure. And so I operate on the daily from the soul that is in me, not from who I see in the mirror, who I like to beat up in the mirror. Now, to push myself to do this video today. But I'll do anything and everything to bring this truth, to bring the redemption, to make people realize that they have a creator that they can form a holy connection with, that they can actually feel him and talk to him and be his friend, and that they're going to have to, well, not have to, but like that you get to is what I mean to say. And also, you guys, you have to come to know that you have to do, your repentance, and you have to apologize for the things that you've done and said and the ways that you've degraded yourself and how you want to do better, and all the things that you brought the Creator into. You need to apologize for that and do it wholeheartedly. And just start to talk to him. And it's called hit by the do. It's like talking to him like your best friend. That's what I did my whole entire life, and what I explained I did in heaven. And they're like, well, how did you get to earn your way here? And I had to explain all these ways that I prayed, because nobody taught me how to do it. I just would talk to him because I knew that he created me. So that, man, when I would pray, I would just pray out loud and I would talk to God like he was my best friend, because this is what I knew that he created me. And even though everything around me seemed really, really awful, when I would go out and pray and look at the stars or whatever, and I knew that he would hear my voice, that he would hear my soul crying out. I just knew. And so I went with that attachment. And at first, when I say I knew, like my soul knew it, I still cried. I still kicked and screamed. I still sinned. I still made mistakes and did ugly things against him. You know what I mean? But, my soul knew that my Creator would recognize me when I cried out. And I need you to know that he will recognize you too, you guys. And we all need so much help right now. And that's why I'm willing to do this too, is to let you know that there's help out there, and it doesn't have to come in the way of a therapist or an overworked mother or, an overworked teenage daughter that's taking care of your other kids already. Don't just take it to the creator in your downtime, in the closet if you have to. I've done that. I went out to the pool and sat in knee deep snow, to get away from the house. You have to make time because you're worth it. And the thing is, he's going to show himself really soon. Remember when I talked about the Technicolor children in Piccadilly Square being on the computer and doing all kinds of weird stuff? Well, the way I remember seeing it in the heavenlies, because the creator didn't have like a body, or his body was being used by somebody else or something like that. I'm not sure, his vessel. And sorry, I forgot what I was saying. That's why he needs me, you guys. I think that's where it was going, and I need you. And I'm a little bit disoriented from trying to remember all these things. And then when I stop talking, I always remember 10 gajillion things that I should have said. Oh, I know. Because he's going to show himself, I remember seeing him on like a really, when you go to a concert and you have the performer and then you have the performer on a really big screen, or many big screens. Well, I remember when I was in my afterlife, that maybe he told me that he was going to make himself on a big screen. And so that people would actually, I don't know, be able to see him somehow that way or something. All I remember is the big screen. Maybe it would be the computer screens or the phone screens. I don't know. When you think about how technology has gotten, you can't doubt it. You can't. It was something like that, to the best of my memory. And there's some things that need to take place before he does that. But this is my point. If you guys choose to have Emunah, 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 it means faith in Hebrew, and you believe on the creator now, and you talk to him now, and you do your repentance now, your teshuvah, and you do it now, you get credit for it in this world to come, and you get to be closer to the creator in redemption time because of it. But if you don't do it until after you see him, then it doesn't count as much. I mean, it just doesn't. It's way better to do it now because you're doing it, while not seeing. And you're doing it because your soul tells you that I'm not lying. And your soul tells you that I only want the best for you, your soul, and your family. And I want you to have shalom in your home. And I want you to realize that everything that in your life has a purpose. And he's bringing about what he needs to happen. And you can participate or you can not. But it's much more fun when you do. It can be painful. It's not all fun, you guys. It's definitely not. But I just wanted to come here tonight and say those things because my Rabbi Rev Jor, he motivates me when I see him talk, and I know it's not comfortable for him, and he had to learn English, and and I've been watching him for over 2 years now, and I've learned so much about my relationship with the Creator. And when he talks, it jogs my memory about things that happened to me in my afterlife. In fact, when I was having all the weird writings happen to me in early spring 2020, I wrote his name, Rav Jor. It's Ravdror. He has Emunah.com too. I talk about it all the time. You guys should check it out. I'm not trying to take away anybody's deep love of what they may believe they've been taught, like to love some guy named Jesus, to think anything less of themselves because that's what they believe. I know it's hard. It's hard to believe a stranger like me can sit here and be telling the truth on something that the world has been told our entire memory of existence, and I'm like, oh, hey, it's all false. Why would you believe me? Well, I I'm trying to help you. Well, maybe by my awkwardness, maybe by the fact that I don't try to read with a script. I want you guys to know the truth. I want you to experience what I've experienced and what I've learned, because I wouldn't trade my relationship with the Creator for anything. Like I said before, no money, no nothing. And I want you guys to have that same thing. So Man, I don't know what I say until I watch these videos back. Sometimes the words just come out, but I want to reiterate one thing about the John 3:16 verse and why it was chosen. Um, you probably can't see way back there. Probably not. You know how Prince was saying we went riding down by Old Man Johnson's farm? He chose the word Johnson because of what I was saying before, and that is that the name of the creator, the Yud and the Hey, and then the Vav and the Hey, you cannot say that out of your mouth. And if you do, it's actually a very grave sin. You should not do that. If you have any Kingdom Hall friends that use the word, they think that they're giving, well, at least my friend said, oh, that's his name and we use it in reverence. Well, stop, because it's actually a very big sin, and I'm trying to get you to stop. But my point is, the letters that transfer from Hebrew for the name that you're not supposed to say, those same letters are the letters that they use in the word John, okay? And then they added the word son so that it sounds in a different way, like creator's son. Because if think of the name, the Yud, the Hey, and the Vav and the Hey are the name John, and so then it's son. So it's like creator's son. That's what he's trying to call himself. So that's why when Constantine rewrote the Bible, go see my Constantine 1611 video. When it was written, it was to make everybody think that Jesus was the only Son of God and the way and the truth and the light, when nothing could be further from the truth. It's just the way that Satan wanted to cover the world with his lies and keep you complacent, waiting on a redeemer that will never come in that form that you were taught. We need you to bring the creator and the redemption by praying and knowing the true creator, like I've just spent the last, I don't know how long, trying to introduce to you. It's super duper important, you guys. It's super duper important that you realize that there's some new Netflix video out about something in 3 eggs. It was about somebody that was given 3 ancient eggs. The way Daenerys on Game of Thrones was given 3 dragon eggs. It's why they have the egg at Paisley Park. This is the year 2023. And if you write it and look at it backwards on paper, give me 2 seconds, y'all, because you can't see that board. 2023 is EGG, because of course 0 doesn't count. So 2023 EGG or GE or GE, which is what I'm always talking about, the code word, because how is that 2 a G? It just is. It's in mirror writing. It's upside down and backwards. It becomes a G, okay? And the 3 becomes an E. It's witchcraft upside down, 33rd degree gematria mirror writing. So it's not just me making stuff up with my mind. It's not just me telling you that evil LUCIAN in the politician spells clan and C19 on the other side. You guys, these things are true. I think it is like a form of maybe the Enochian language from way before. And when the creator was explaining to me when I was in my life after life, you guys, I don't know if like I don't know. All he told me was that I was exiled from where he is in some way and sent here. Like, and I say sent here because it was like I was an alien or something. Because when I was in school, all the words and all the math and all the stuff would just, and he showed me I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world, because I'm not at all. I'm quite ditzy most of the time. But the things that I did in school, he said that he did, and he made sure that I was there, and he made sure that I learned the language the way that I did. And, I would be pulled out of my class and they would do all these speed reading tests on me and all these crazy things. My parents never skipped me or anything like that, but I had a real good grasp of language, and it was explained to me why. It was because it was going to be utilized this way later on, not because I'm anything, but because I had a mind that was like the cream of the crop of the lowest of the low. So it's not really that flattering. I mean, it is, obviously, I say in all humility. And he chose me because I would mess up so much, because I have messed up so much, not because I'm so good. I've done a lot of terrible things. Well, not as much as a lot of people, but enough. It doesn't matter. I'm responsible for a lot of things, and there's a lot of corrections that I have to make, and I take that up with the Creator. But I mean to say that He didn't choose me because I'm so, like, because there's the bloodline and whatever maybe, but there's also the fact that He molded me to be this so that I was a usable vessel, and I listened and I prayed and I shot arrows of prayer um, to heaven. And I always wanted to find the Creator to thank Him for saving me from my life that I had. And now I've been chosen to do this. Like I said, no matter how awkward it is, I'm going to do it because I want you guys to feel as good as I do. And that's really all it's about, is to help you build your connection with the Creator and to realize that you truly do have one. When the time comes that these others maybe start showing themselves or whatever, they're going to want you to believe that you're your own creator and that you're your own power and that you can live your life any way you want as long as you sign it over to them. But you don't want that. You have to know that you have a divine destiny, just like I do, and we all do. I need you guys to start believing it and praying it in. All right? My throat is dry. I got to go. I'll be back soon. I'll come back and do a talk on Paisley Park because I know this video was kind of windy today. Somebody recommended that I use a outline one time. It never works because when you're speaking this way and you have so many fleeting memories that you're trying to put in order, it doesn't work that way. When I do my slideshows and stuff, it comes out a little more orderly if that's for you. Or if you want to come here and see this face, well, come on back because I'll be here. Love you guys. I'm going. Toodles.